Howdy lads, welcome back to a new video. Today I have a different video for you instead of a transfer related topic. This one is going to be about one player out of each Premier League team this season who has improved the most compared to how they were last season for maybe the team they are still playing for now or a different team. Starting off, I like to change up the order, go from bottom to first or from first to bottom, alphabetically that is. Today, I suggest we start things off at the bottom with Wolves, and I think their most improved player this season has to be the midfielder, Andre. Andre has been linked with a whole host of top sides when he first moved to Wolves. I think Wolves either beat Chelsea or Liverpool to his signing. Either way, it was pretty impressive stuff. And after a rocky start, he has shown why Wolves were so adamant at bringing him in. He has formed an incredible partnership with the other Brazilian Joao Gomez in the midfield, um, adding to each other's weaknesses, making them kind of fit like puzzle pieces almost in Wolves' midfield. I think Vitor Pereira has done an unbelievable job shoring up that midfield, and Andre has to get massive credit for that, in my opinion. With West Ham, it is quite difficult to pinpoint a player who has improved. Jared Bowen has maintained his consistent levels of performances, and apart from that, nearly every other West Ham player needs to have a long and hard look at themselves in the mirror after the season they've just had. Apart from one defender, in my opinion, which is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has left his Man United meme status firmly in the rearview mirror right now. He is arguably West Ham's most important player when it comes to getting the ball towards Bowen, who will be decisive for them. He is added assists to his game. It seems like a lot of Premier League fullbacks and Premier League wingers remember the Wan-Bissaka from Manchester United, where you were just like, just let him be on the ball and nothing dangerous will come of it. Whereas in a West Ham shirt, a lot of dangerous things have come off just letting Aaron Wan-Bissaka keep the ball on the right hand side. I don't think he will be able to do that next season because people will catch on and will not allow him that space anymore. But don't forget, defensively, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is still one of the best right backs out there. When it comes to Tottenham Hotspur, this is a team where also the majority of the players have taken a step back compared to last season instead of taking a step forward. But one of the players who has very much taken a step forward is obviously Jet Spence. Due to the unbelievable injury bad luck that Tottenham have had this season, he has had to play a lot of minutes, both in the right back and in the left back position, but he has done so pretty, I wouldn't say amazingly, because Tottenham are still 17th in the league, which is absolutely abysmal, but he has done a more than adequate job at replacing the output of a Destiny Udogi, of a Pedro Porro. He is good enough going forward to make up for the attacking output you lose when one of those fullbacks isn't in the team, but in my opinion, he is the best defensive fullback Tottenham possess right now, which is first of all saying a lot about Tottenham's fullbacks, but second of all is also credit to Jet Spence, whichever way you want to turn it. With Nottingham Forest, there are a lot of players which you can talk about. Obviously, Chris Wood, Elanga, Gibbs White, Milenkovic, Murillo, Aina all come to mind. But I want to talk about ex Geordie Elliot Anderson. He has had a fantastic season for Nottingham Forest, and more needs to be made of it. He is unbelievable, driving with the ball at his feet through opposition's midfields. He is unbelievably combative. He's unbelievably physical. He has an eye for a pass, which can create a goal scoring opportunity for his teammates. Elliot Anderson is the entire package. Elliot Anderson this season is what Manchester United hoped they were buying with Mason Mount. That's as simple as you can put it, in my opinion. Our club, Newcastle United. Yes, you know it. You know how we do. A lot of players have improved, in my opinion, compared to last season. Obviously, the most steep improvement is that one of Sandro Tonali because he doesn't really have a baseline to compare him to. But it has to be Jacob Murphy, doesn't it? He has been fantastic this season. Jacob Murphy is already on 20 goal involvements. I'm going to repeat that real quick. 20 goal involvements in one Premier League season for Jacob Murphy. I think when it comes to him, it's the career, it's the fact that he's come from Norwich and been a big part player for the majority of a decade almost. Um, I think when it comes to Jacob Murphy, it's the career which not necessarily holds him back, but holds people's view of him back, if that makes sense. I think if he didn't come from Norwich, if he hadn't just spent the first 7, 8 years of being a Newcastle United player as a fringe or squad or big part player, but now he has been absolutely irreplaceable for us this season. He is the player who understands Alexander Isak's positioning, running patterns, space occupation, the very best out of any player in our squad, along with his constant, tireless running. He's so important. He's so fantastic. Jacob Murphy, I absolutely love you. Manchester United, there is only one man we can talk about. I know it's not necessarily a big step, or it is a big step up in my opinion, but he isn't necessarily the most improved player compared to last season. But if we are going a little bit further back than that, I believe he is one of the most improved players in the Premier League, full stop. I am talking about Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire deserves every Premier League fan's respect. This man has been a nationwide laughingstock, an international laughingstock when he was Manchester United captain. Every single week, memes were appearing of Harry Maguire. He was constantly made fun of for his appearance, mostly, which is actually pretty horrible if you think about it. But not once has this man moaned about it. Not once has this man thrown a tantrum in the media or down tools. He's even been stripped of the captaincy, and still, week in, week out, he is giving his absolute all on the pitch for the Manchester United badge. One of, if not the only player who is willing to give everything for the Manchester United badge, maybe alongside Bruno Fernandes. I think Harry Maguire deserves not only massive respect for the kind of professional he is and the kind of football player he is, but also deserves an enormous apology from me as well, because I was one of the people memeing him as well. I mean, every football fan was. So there you go. Harry Maguire, I'm sorry, man. You are unbelievable. When it comes to Manchester City, it is actually really hard to pinpoint someone who has improved because we cannot forget this is a Manchester City time. This is a Manchester City side who won 4 league titles in a row. If you fail the fifth one, like Erling Haaland said, people will point to a regression in performance, and it is very clear to see. I don't think any of Manchester City's senior outfield players deserve a shout at having improved their game compared to last season, but I'm still giving it to Nico O'Reilly. Nico O'Reilly has single handedly dragged Manchester City to the FA Cup final, giving 2 assists in, I think it was the round of 16, and then coming off of the bench in the quarterfinals against Bournemouth, where they were a goal behind, and assisting 2 goals yet again, and being by far the most dangerous player on the pitch. Yeah, Nico O'Reilly, another case like Miles Lewis Kelly at Arsenal, an unbelievably young midfielder who came through the academy, who has been trusted by his manager in the fullback position and really hasn't looked back since. When it comes to Liverpool, I think we need to talk about Ryan Gravenberch. This is a player who kind of was in the wilderness at Bayern Munich, moved to Liverpool, and didn't really get a look in his first season on Merseyside either. And that really was the moment where a lot of people were starting to drop their belief that he was going to kick on and become one of the best midfielders in the world as we were kind of expecting him back in his Ajax days to become. But this season, he has made that number six role his own in a Liverpool shirt. In a season where Liverpool probably should have signed a defensive midfielder in the summer and in the summer before that one. Still, they didn't. Ryan Gravenberg came in. Arne Slot saw a solution no one of us saw coming, and Liverpool have been amazing for it. I think he has played the most outfield minutes out of any Liverpool player this season, which is genuinely just unbelievable stuff, Ryan. Unbelievable improvement. You can be proud of yourself. Leeds. I want to talk about Junior Firpo. Now, obviously, this is players who have improved in the second tier, but still, I think they deserve a shout. Junior Firpo, we all know him from probably not being up to scratch in his last season in the Premier League. Well, this season in the Championship, not only has he reached double digits for assists from left wing back, he has also been unbelievably important to the way Fark wants to play football with this Leeds team, with Jaden Bogle on the other side of the defense. Yeah, Firpo's contribution cannot be underestimated at all. And right now, it does seem like he's leaving on a free transfer, which would be an unbelievable loss for Leeds United. Something I think not a single Premier League fan would have said 2 years ago. Fulham, Calvin Bassey has been unbelievable for you guys this season. I am sorry, but more needs to be said about this man's positional occupation because this guy is a centre back, but most people know Fulham for having their left back Robinson unbelievably high up the pitch, but Calvin Bassey moves almost as high up the pitch as Robinson does. This is a guy who has an unbelievably unique skill set in that he's a very strong, physical, fast centre back who is still able to beat his man in a dribble. Yes, you heard me right. A centre back who beats his man in a dribble, meaning that when the opposition defender is left behind him, he has acres of space in front of him to get an incisive pass towards Robinson, towards Emil Smith Rowe, towards Iwobi, to create something for Fulham. They have found a lot of joy from that this season, and I believe they will be able to find more next season. Yeah. Everton, it is Mark Goldbridge's favorite striker, back of the netto. Beto, yes, Beto is. I mean, if you asked any, and I mean any, Premier League fan at the beginning of the season what they thought of Beto, it was championship at best. It was a horrific striker who is so far out of his depth in the league. But Moyes has come in, and Beto has reached double digits for goals. And I don't think anyone, certainly I didn't, see that one coming. So you just have to give him credit for that. Crystal Palace is quite a difficult one because this is a team which is greater than the sum of its parts. Hence why I've decided to go look for a player who has moved there, maybe after having a bit of a difficult season themselves abroad. Obviously, I'm talking about Ismaila Sarr. His move to Marseille didn't really work out after he finally left Watford after what seemed to be a really long time. Um, but after just a year in France, he has already come back to England, and I think he has looked useful, if not class, for Crystal Palace. They probably could do with another younger option on the wing, especially given Eddie Nketiah really is not a winger, but as a stopgap, as a squad option, as your starting 11 player, I think Ismail Sarr has been pretty fantastic for Crystal Palace this season. Chelsea, let's put some respect on Trevoh Chalobah's name. I know he did not start last game against Manchester United, but this is a guy who at the beginning of the season was told there wasn't any room for him in the squad. Enzo Maresca had no interest in playing him, and he was going to have to train with the under 21s until he found a new destination for him to go. That was all pretty last minute, so he didn't find a permanent destination, instead, going out on loan to Crystal Palace, not giving a single moan, a single complaint, not downing tools, just staying professional, moving to Crystal Palace. He actually played class for Crystal Palace in their back five because I think even now in May it is still quite evident that Crystal Palace are missing a central defender, which was him. But he's come back to Chelsea and he has been immense. He has looked like the most senior and mature figure in an otherwise not ramshackled but chaotic defense, shall we say. Chelsea have kept a lot more clean sheets in the second half of the season than they did in the first half of the season, even though their first half of the season was probably better all round. And I think Chalobah has to get a lot of credit for that, in my opinion. Burnley, the second championship team with a second defender who has had an unbelievable rise this season, who is actually most likely going to be leaving on a free transfer as well. It is CJ Egan Riley. He has come out of pretty much nowhere this season to become one of, if not the best central defender in the second tier last season. I think Joe Rodon and maybe a staff were probably a little bit better, but Egan Riley was absolutely immense as well. Look at Burnley's defensive record, and I think you know all you need to know. Brighton. This was quite a difficult one for me because there are a lot of great players at Brighton and they continue to recruit pretty fantastically as well. But that's why I think a lot of credit has to go to Jack Hinchelwood, who isn't really that glamorous of a name, isn't really someone who you can associate with one out and out position, even. But what he is an unbelievably useful utility player, out of which Hösler has had a lot of joy this season because he can pretty much ask him to play left back, play, I can't speak anymore because he can pretty much ask him to play left back, play right back, play a defensive midfield role, play more of a box to box midfield role. He's so unbelievably versatile, so unbelievably useful. I think he needs to get a lot more credit because not a single person is talking about what a great season Jack Hinchelwood has had for Brighton, even despite the fact they did spend over 200 million in the summer last year. Brentford, it is obviously only one man. It is Mikkel Damsgaard. This is a player who I think everyone is. Certainly, I did think his career was pretty much over after injury after injury after injury, and his body seemingly failing on him. Especially his Premier League career seemed over because this is one of the most physical and demanding leagues in the world. But Thomas Frank and Brentford's medical team have taken their time with him, and he's come back a completely revitalized player. He bosses the midfield. Everything Brentford creates nearly comes through him. He's actually completely replaced the Christian Eriksen role, which we saw him shine in both for Denmark when Christian Eriksen had his first or his incident, shall we say, and afterwards for Brentford, Christian Eriksen shone for Brentford, that is, and I think Damsgaard has now replaced that role as well. It's absolutely fantastic stuff, Damsgaard. So much credit has to go to you. You have had a fantastic season. When it comes to Aston Villa, there are two players which are the standout names. The player which I haven't decided to go with is Morgan Rogers. And I think that's more so due because we didn't really know what the baseline was with Morgan Rogers. He joined last year in January from a second tier side in Middlesbrough. He came through the youth ranks of Manchester City, but none of us really had seen him play all that much. Neither did he play all that much for Aston Villa in the second half of last season, but this season he has been immense. Yet, he isn't the player I want to talk about. I want to talk about Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans has been one of the best midfielders in Europe, whereas he had this kind of label back in his Leicester days where, oh, he's just a pretty boy, he's a defensive passenger, he only gives sideway passes. There was an element of truth to those claims, but he's completely rebutted them this season. He has played in a double pivot with Onana when Camara was injured. Then, when Camara came back and Onana was injured, he played in a double pivot with them. When Onana and Camara played in the double pivot together, he adjusted his role and moved forward a little bit. He is such an unbelievably intelligent player, such a hard worker for Aston Villa as well. Yeah, he has to get the nod, in my opinion. Second to last team, Arsenal. Listen, I was considering putting in Miles Lewis Kelly, but this is again one of those players where we don't really have a baseline to compare him with, or maybe this is the baseline. This season was the baseline, which we're going to have to compare him with. So I've decided to go with a player who we did see before this season. It's Ethan Nwaneri. And it's a bit odd to call a 17-year-old the most improved player this season, but let's not forget, this is a guy who, back when he was 15 years of age, got thrown onto the pitch by Mikel Arteta as some sort of PR stunt, probably, and afterwards wasn't seen for a year. So I think you would be forgiven if you thought the same as I did. This is just an industry plant who won't really turn out to be anything special. Well, boy, was I wrong, because this kid truly, truly is special. Ever since Saka has come back from injury, the talk has died down on him quite a lot, but I really don't think it should, because this guy is class. For a 17-year-old, his composure, his finishing ability, his vision, it's nearly unrivaled. Last but not least, Bournemouth. This maybe is one of the most obvious ones. A player whose career looked like it was kind of heading off into obscure nothingness before this season, but now he's definitely become one of the talismanic figures for his club side, and maybe even has made an appeal for a move away from the club or a move abroad. I'm obviously talking about Justin Kluivert. I don't really want to say a lot more on him, because then I'm probably going to have to use or mention the hat trick he scored, which, I mean, let's be honest, none of us really want to talk about it. But Kluivert has had a fantastic season from the number 10 position, which I didn't really think was a suitable position for him, but here we are. It clearly is. And I think if Bournemouth can keep hold of him, keep hold of Evan Nilsson and maybe Dango as well, you could be in for an exciting season yet again next year. But anyway, that was the end of the video, guys. If you did go on to enjoy it, make sure to leave a like down below in the like section, leave a comment in the comment section. Thank you very much. Please let me know who you thought your club's most improved player was. If I got any of these players wrong, let us know. Follow all our socials, Magpie 24/7 on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You know the drill, and I'll see you guys in the next one.